Thank you for staying with us. Ahead of the World Sickle Cell Day, as you've seen there, which will hold on the 19th of this month, some members of the Sickle Cell Foundation are here to tell us about the lineup for the day. Of course, ladies first, as I say, we have them both. Mrs. Ayo Otaigbe is a director in Sickle Cell Foundation of Nigeria and head of department genetic counseling at the National Sickle Cell Center, Lagos. She is also a lead genetic counseling trainer for counselors all over Africa. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
We also have Mr. Yemi Onijala, who is of the DNA laboratory at the National Sickle Cell Center. He is coordinator of the bone marrow transplant program at the Sickle Cell Foundation and a representative of Sickle Cell Foundation and the coalition of sickle cell NGOs. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, madam, the conversations around sickle cell scares many people. Are they justified?
Come again.
The conversation around sickle cell scares a sizable number of people. Are their fears justified?
That many people have sickle cell disorder.
That they are afraid of any
yes,
conversation
many
around
people
it.
are afraid of sickle cell disorder because they believe that people with sickle cell, they don't live long. And even if you have one that's living, you spend a lot of money in caring for them. So they are always scared, they are always devastated when they are told, oh, your child is SS. Devastated, that they'll be spending all their money economically and all that. And you know that in Nigeria, you put money down in this hospital before you are looked after. We don't have national health insurance yet.
So their fears are not unfounded.
They are not unfounded.
The fears you've just spoken about are not myths. They are the reality.
They are reality. They are real. They are real.
But that's not to say that it's a hopeless situation.
It's not a hopeless situation because there's improvement. It's improvement in the affairs of people with sickle cell disorder. It's improving every day. That's why we see a lot of them now. They live to old age. We have some of them who are retired doctors, their grandmothers. They're like over 70 years of age. A lot of them. Some are entrepreneurs. They own their companies and all that. Some are working in banks, accountants, lawyers of big companies. I remember we wanted to sponsor somebody the Sickle Cell Foundation Nigeria wanted to pay school fees for one of the SS person in a private school because the parents lost their jobs, and the money was 400 and something thousand to pay for that semester in a private university. So we just phoned one of it's a lawyer, SS. Professor Akinyoju just called her that we have a problem at hand. This girl has gone far in the university. Is also studying law and all that. That we need to pay almost 400,000 naira for her because the parents cried and came to meet us at the foundation. We didn't know them before. So the lady just said, okay, we should send the Sickle Cell Foundation account number. And she paid it into that. Then we now pay the university. That's SS. Doing very well in the job. So it's getting better.
Okay.
But we still need to do a lot more.
Now, Yemi, the foundation has been carrying out a lot of campaign. Has the campaign been yielding any results? And I'm asking this especially in the area of the number of sickle cell patients in Nigeria. Is the number reducing as a result of the campaign that the foundation has been carrying out? And I know for a fact that many young people actually go to do blood tests now before they get married.
You're right. Well, I would say the number is actually reducing, but because at the moment we don't really have a data in Nigeria to ascertain what number of individual has a sickle blood. If we're looking at it generally, we have a major problem in Nigeria, and that is wrong diagnosis in Nigeria. Yes, we have so many mushroom laboratories that are giving out wrong results, which is increasing the number of sickle cell patients that we are having in the country. And that is what we were discussing when we were coming in. I said, somebody just walked into a laboratory, a private laboratory, and said he wanted to run a genotype test. And they said, okay, it's 3,000 naira. I said, wow, this is high. Somewhere around there, maybe in Mushin or somewhere in Nuku, this 500 naira. What would you expect from somebody that is doing a genotype of 3,000 naira and somebody who's seeking for genotype of 500 naira?
Is that to say it is expensive?
And the equipment is actually expensive to run a genotype. Because I remember when I was working with a private institution, the genotype machine that we're using, we bought that machine at the rate of 10,000 naira. When I get to Sickle Cell Foundation, Nigeria, and I saw a linear machine, I asked the scientist, I said, how much did they get this machine? He said, this machine is 950,000 naira. Now, what do you expect from the genotype machine of 10,000 and the one of
So the 10,000 one is not telling you the truth.
It's not telling you the truth.
Okay, perhaps that's where the beginning of our educating or the kind of education we need to give to people should start from, because unless this condition, this situation, this medical condition is social status biased, or gender biased, or social class biased. If everyone, it's something that can happen to anyone, then it wouldn't matter what strata of society the person is.
Yes, you're right.
Or are there peculiarities?
Well, there are peculiarities to all this stuff, because I'm looking at it from different angle. If you look at genotype that you get looking from the north, let's take all these northern states, for instance. What we are now planning right now at the Sickle Cell Foundation Nigeria is, why can't we go deep into the north and preach this gospel of genotype to them? Because I was in Benue last November. I realized that prenatal diagnosis to determine the genotype of unborn child is not spreading at all in Benue. So many doctors are not even aware. They were even telling me that, Jamie, does this thing exist in Nigeria? I said prenatal diagnosis that we've been doing for over 9-10 years in Lagos. And you are asking me whether it's existing. So these people, they are not aware of all this information, the importance of genotype to them. And I was telling Mrs. Otsaibe before we came, I said, we have a lot to do. When couples are getting married, it's beyond churches or mosque checking whether you are pregnant or not, because that is their major focus, whether you are pregnant before the marriage or not, or probably you have HIV. We should be checking their genotype as well. Because if you are not checking genotype, we are going to be increasing the number of sickle cell children we are going to be having in the society.
Perhaps a good place to start, madam, let me bring this to you, would be to even let people understand the consequences. We'll come to the program that you have for the June 19. Perhaps the reason is to even let people know the consequences of not paying attention to these things. What are the consequences when people do not give attention to education about genotype? What are the consequences of having sickle cell?
The point is that, like genetic counseling, the counselors, we do non-directive counseling. And people who think that because if you do counseling, people will just stop going into the marriage. If the husband-to-be or the wife-to-be, they are both ASCS. If you think they will not go into the marriage, because all of them, it's not all of them. Some still decide to go into the marriage, even after counseling. We do prospective couples at risk. We call them prospective couples at risk genetic counseling. They come for counseling to know whether they should go ahead and marry or not. We find out that some of them have already made up their mind to get married. They are waiting for what the genetic counselor, if the genetic counselor just says anything that doesn't agree with our opinion, we will not even come back to her, even if we say come back for anything. We've already, there was a time I was to counsel somebody. The pharmacist's brother followed, the sister followed, the auntie followed. Then this is the boy, this is the girl, both AS. Before they entered, I just told the relations to wait in the waiting room first. Let me talk to them. They told me, they showed me the invitation card. We've already printed our wedding invitation card, so they are wasting their time. Okay. We just want to know about sickle cell. We just come to acquire the knowledge, what sickle cell is all about, how it will affect the child, how, that is all. We've already made up our mind, so they are wasting time. Yeah. So I talked to them. I called all of them. They all sat down because we don't hold information. We must educate everybody that comes for counseling. So I counseled them. I told them the relations. I said we cannot make up. We can't tell them go ahead or don't go ahead. We've told them all the implications. Everything about sickle cell, how it affects the child, the complications, we say everything. So they will make up their mind. So I told them.
What are these implications? Yes.
There are some complications that can affect a sickle cell child, but not all of them. And when they are well looked after, let's say at 6 months, they bring them for hemoglobin genotype test. We test them, and they are SS or SC or anything. Then the management starts from there immediately. When they are managed from early childhood, they do well. But more than those who have already got complications before you start managing them. So we catch them young. When you catch them when they are little babies, they do well because they will be under hematologists, doctors who are specialized in looking after sickle cell children. We don't want to see them only when they are sick. They go for regular checkups. So if anything is going to happen to the heart, it will be picked up, they will be treated. That complication will go. If it's the bone, anything, because it can affect any organ.
Wow.
In the body.
Mr. Onijala, to these complications, are people really aware how severe it can get? How disturbing, how distracting it can get? Do you think people watching us now, listening to you, understand significantly how impactful this thing can be both on their lives and the lives of their offspring?
I doubt that so many people are aware of this complication. Unless you visit Sickle Cell Foundation or you have seen a sickle cell patient manifesting the real crisis. So many people don't know that sickle cell patient used to have what you call priapism. Priapism is when the male organ rise and does not come down for a week, for 2 weeks. So many people don't know that it happens to sickle cell patient, but it does. So many people don't know that sickle cell patient do have what you call leg ulcer. Everybody believes that ulcer is always for inside. Okay, you have it inside. But sickle cell patients have their own ulcer on their leg most time. And it's going to be a very wide wound that it might not heal for years. It can be there for as long as 5, 6, 7 years. We call it leg ulcer. They will be carrying the wound there on their leg. Sickle cell patients, they do have stroke. When you mention stroke, I'm sure to you believe that, okay, stroke is majorly for adults, right? But do you know that sickle cell children, they used to have stroke between age 2 and 16? I remember there was a patient that comes in from Lu. They gave the patient referral letter. They said, go and do transcranial Doppler. Transcranial Doppler is a scan that we used to do to check if a child is going to have stroke or not.
Break down this English.
Okay, we call it TCD. TCD.
Because it's very heavy.
Okay. Okay.
Call it brain scan.
Oh, okay, we call it brain scan. Okay, brain scan. It's majorly meant for sickle cell children between age 2 and 16. So they actually refer this patient down to come and have this scan done. When the mom came around, it's okay. I wanted to do TCD, this brain scan. We said, okay, we have about 5 people on ground. Can you just hold on? When they are done, then it now comes. Oh, no. I don't have this time. I don't have the time. I need to go and look after my business. I'll come back next week. By the time this woman is coming back next week, that young man that they brought that day, he walked into our office. The next time they are bringing the boy back, it has already had stroke. He couldn't walk again. And I told the boy, I said, see, your problem starts with this woman. She has time for her business. She doesn't have time for you. So they do have stroke between age 2 and
Some of
16.
them.
And many people don't know that sickle cell patients do have stroke. Apart from stroke, we still have so many other things like bone pain crisis, that they will have pain that it will be so consistent that it will not just leave. The pain will not just leave. I barely stand one of my friends when I was looking at her when she had crisis, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. She was in our office for exchange blood transfusion. I was looking at having pain. I couldn't stand it any longer because we are so close. I said, how can human being be in this kind of pain? She's not forming the pain. The pain is just there. Every joint, you feel the pain. Everywhere, you just be feeling pain. And where some people just be walking around the street, nothing, I'm good. So when we're advocating that, okay, go ahead and check your genotype before marriage, we know what we are talking about. It's not because you are bringing burden on us. You are also bringing burden on yourself. You are bringing burden on your own finances because it's not easy to manage a sickle cell child.
Okay.
When you were talking just now, you said blood exchange transfusion.
Yeah, we call it EBT.
Exchange blood transfusion.
Exchange blood transfusion.
What is that?
Exchange blood transfusion in US and in UK, they do it routinely for sickle cell patients.
But they don't have too many, do they?
No, they don't have many.
It's a black thing, isn't it?
It is a black thing, but they have a very good society that caters for their citizens. But down here, we don't.
Okay.
So for exchange blood transfusion, if we see a child that maybe is at risk of having stroke, then we need to do exchange blood transfusion for that child so that we can quickly take that child off that stroke. If we see a patient that is having...
So what is the exchange? What are you exchanging the blood in his body, taking that one out and putting another?
We are taking the sickle cell blood out of the patient. Then we are giving the patient only AA blood. So we just take the sickle, you are reducing the level of sickling.
Okay.
Probably you take like maybe 6 pints, depending on the weight of the patient. Sometimes we can take up to like 10 pints out.
Okay.
Then we transfuse 10 pints immediately.
So
using a
does that
machine.
help the patient?
It seriously helps the patient. It takes them off the pain very fast.
So
Compared to
why
drugs.
isn't this normal treatment for a sickler then? This exchange blood. Once you discover that your child has sickle cell, you take your child in for an exchange blood transfusion.
It is
So that the child now has more AA blood.
It is actually expensive.
Okay.
So that's where the problem is. It's
Okay,
actually
right.
expensive.
You know, this gets very interesting.
Conditions that warrant exchange blood
What
transfusion.
conditions
It's not
are
just
these?
generic.
Like acute chest syndrome. They will be breathing, they can't breathe well.
Very
Something is happening in the chest that will make them to be breathing. And if care is not taken, within few hours, the child can die. Or even adults. It can happen to adults, it can happen to children. They can advocate exchange blood transfusion. That. Then the one he said now, like stroke, to reduce the percentage of the excess and the sickle cell in the blood.
Obviously,
To put AA, but you know it will only last for some time because the bone marrow will still produce sickle cell and the sickle cell. It's from the bone marrow.
Sometimes people have to go for exchange blood several times.
Yes,
And
yes.
depending on
It depends on what.
hematology prescription.
Depends on
If you're just okay, go ahead and be having it every 3
it
weeks.
sounds like we need.
stroke.
3 weeks.
Yes.
It sounds like we need to have a
God.
full course on sickle cell 101 or 102 or 103 for all of this because it's a lot more serious. It sounds
It is.
than we. And so is this part of this perhaps is part of the reason for this celebration that you're thinking about. What's on the lineup for this for you on June 19th?
It's the sickle cell. I mean, what sickle cell day is June 19th celebrated globally.
Yeah.
So the Sickle Cell Foundation joins every year to celebrate it, as designated by the United Nations. So we always have a lineup of activities.
What's on your lineup this year?
The flagship event is the annual public lecture on sickle cell disorder, and the importance of self-care. That is the title of the lecture. The importance of self-care. It's always good when they know how to care for themselves, as just to enhance the quality of life. That's the title, The Importance of Self-Care in Enhancing the Quality of Life.
Okay.
And we are privileged to have a professor of medicine. He's a distinguished, a renowned, internationally renowned professor of medicine who is coming to, is the main speaker for the day. He's a professor of medicine, hematology, oncology. Is coming from Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital, Ile-Ife, and is Professor Nora Akinola. He has done series of, he has led a series of research work on sickle cell disorder, including newborn screening. Somebody I know. He has also done, we've trained her on genetic counseling. So he's a big professor who is well experienced. Is coming that the main speaker. There are other speakers. Other speakers.
But the CV that you have read out actually says that she's a very big person in the industry. But
yes,
Mr. Nijala, I also understand that you are atop the charity work.
Exactly. Well, part of our program for this World Sickle Cell Day, I think last week we had a quiz competition within Lagos State schools, where we have about 25 schools in attendance for quiz competition. Everything just about sickle cell, just to enlighten them about sickle cell. And it was a fantastic program. And 2 days ago, we had a free medical outreach at Igondo, that is Alimosho local government. And we have close to 2,000 people in attendance coming for free medical. And then we also share this word of sickle cell to everyone there that is in attendance.
Did you discover any one of them who had sickle cell?
We have major problem. We have a major problem at Igodo. We realize that we have so many patients that they don't know they are sickle cell. So many, they just okay.
I wanted you to finish on the lineup. So you now give us the, the common signs.
Okay.
But finish with the lineup first. Okay.
So we have that the outreach last 2 days ago at Igondo, and our next program is the Coalition of Sickle Cell NGO. We are going to be having a charity walk. That will be 18th of June at Unity High School, Oshodi, opposite Mikio. The school is actually facing the main express. In the past, we've been working, but most of the work is on the island. We work in Ikoyi, you work in Lekki, so why can't we just bring it down to the grassroots this time around? So that is the major reason why we are bringing the work this year to Oshodi, and it comprises of all the sickle cell NGO. And what makes this year work unique, we are not only working in Lagos, we are doing it simultaneously with Warri, and we are doing it along with Abuja as well. So Delta. So we are working simultaneously, the same time, the same hour, and the media is going to be carrying it. At least we'll be able to propagate the news of sickle cell around the world.
Now we're almost out of time. And with this, the question that Laura asked you earlier, what are the signs that those who may have it and not know it should pay attention to, and for which reason they should, seek medical help immediately?
Okay. Like one of the patients that we saw at Igondo recently, the woman said, my daughter is having aromolegun. It's just bone pain. I said, what have you been doing? I said, okay, I've been taking this child to one local help, so they always do massage. I said, ma, this is not aromolegun.
What is aromolegun anyway?
Aromolegun.
Like a bone, pain in the bone.
Okay.
Now this child is having pain in the bone, so they just thought, okay, maybe it's something normal. Okay, let us go and be doing massage. I said, your child is a sickle cell. Your child is not having aromolegun. Your child is displaying crisis. This is a real crisis. And sometimes you see the hand, for children, you see their hand becoming swollen. So you quickly take those children to the clinic. Okay, run the genotype. And also, the moment they get married and you're having a child, probably you have not checked your genotype before. You can still check the genotype because of the other children you are going to be having. I know a patient that has a family that has 4 SS. First one SS, second one SS, third one SS, fourth one SS. I know them. So they will just think, okay, maybe we are having spiritual attack in our family, that they are making the whole family to be sick. to be sick. They called me last week, and I said, okay, what about the firstborn? How is he doing? The mother said, we have lost the first child. I said, what happened? He said, he committed suicide. I said, why did he commit suicide? The mother said, he wrote a note that there's a lot of pain in our family. Let me reduce the pain, and he commits suicide. So sometimes this thing is not a rocket science. We can all go to a very good standard laboratory and run genotype and be sure of our status.
Well, every time we talk about any issue on this program, it's just a conversation starter so that you can listen to the severity of the issues that are being raised and take action, because information, they say, has potential power. Taking action, acting on that information, that is the power. We have to thank you both at this time and can only wish you the best, in this year's World Sickle Cell Day celebration. Mrs. Ayota Ibe is a director in Sickle Cell Foundation Nigeria and head of department genetic counseling at the National Sickle Cell Center, Lagos. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
As well as Mr. Yemi Onijala, who is of the DNA laboratory at the National Sickle Cell Center, Lagos. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, this is definitely something very concerning, but hey, you need to do what you need to do. We're back after now. There's one or two more information segments to take on. We'll be right back. Stay with us.